Guys, Timmy D with Mid-South 360, and this is going to be a follow-up video to the previous one that I did, which showed you how to post-process your flight. So do a PPK processing on the M+, the MLID M+, mounted on a Phantom 4 Pro using the kit from Brian down at toughwing.com. So in the process of doing all that and then trying to bring it into Pix4D, what I found out was that the CSV file format for Pix4D, I'm going to bring this over. So when you have, like for your ground control points, you can bring in, you can either manually enter them into Pix4D, which is not super efficient, or you can have a CSV file, which is exported out. I use EZsurv, and there's certainly other options, but you can create a CSV file to bring in to Pix4D and say, here are where my ground control points are. Well, when you post-process data for your images that are taken on the Phantom 4, you have really one of two ways that you can tell Pix4D and even DroneDeploy and other software. Well, Pix4D, you can add a CSV file to provide geolocation information for those images. Now, I actually do not think that is possible with DroneDeploy. Recently, I guess last year, DJI came out with their Phantom 4 Pro RTK, and what that model does is when it has RTK solution during flight, it will log the data for your location to the image EXIF section. And before we move that, let me just go back real quick. So this right here is the information on Pix4D. And when you come down to image geolocation file, here are the different ways that you can have a file formatted. Well, we're typically going to be using one of these formats here at the top. Now, it will come down and tell you here are the formats. If you are only providing the geographic coordinates, so not accuracy, but you're providing just updated coordinates, then this is the format. These are your column names, and then of course you would have the data down below. So this is quite simple, but what it doesn't do, it doesn't provide accuracy information to Pix4D, which can help speed up the processing. So this is all you have. If you say, you know what, I have accuracy data, so when you process the PPK information in EZsurv, what you export out will actually contain standard deviation, which is your accuracy level for every single image, and it's going to vary from image to image. And so what Pix4D says, well, hey, if you want to have accuracy, that's orientation, we come down to accuracy, what they tell you is that, hey, you have to provide us in a CSV file the omega, phi, and kappa data. Well, let me tell you, that is near about impossible for the average person. We wouldn't be able to go and figure that out. So that really rules out for just about everybody bringing in a CSV file that contains accuracy. So what are your options? Well, the option 2 was to provide is to update your images in the EXIF section, because every image contains extra data, extra text data about that image. And so you can update it. So let me slide this out of the way to contain the very specific GPS data that Pix4D or DroneDeploy would be looking at. And so what I have here on the left, this is an image that was taken with a Phantom 4 Pro RTK. I don't have one of those. I downloaded this off of the DroneDeploy forum where that was being discussed. Over here on the right, this is the image that I took on my Phantom 4 Pro, but I did have the MLID Plus mounted on that Phantom 4, and then I post-processed that using EZsurv. So in order to do any of this, one of the things you're going to have to do is, I'm going to bring this back over, you're going to have to download ExifTool. So I will have a link to this website down in the description. So you will go there. It's a free program. This guy was, I don't know, I guess he's kind of the pioneer that wrote ExifTool and got the software. I mean, it is the standard for updating and processing all of your EXIF data, which is not only just in images. That's what we're using it for, but EXIF data can exist in PDF files, all kind of files. Now, this is a command line program. So if you want to use it in a GUI setting, then this would probably be the program you'd want to download, which is ExifToolGUI for Windows. And here's the website here. And when if you're on the ExifTool program or website, when you scroll all the way to the bottom, let's see, there's going to be right here. Here are Windows related programs that actually are front-end GUIs for the ExifTool.exe. And the very first one listed is ExifToolGUI, which I have here. So you're going to want to download the ExifTool.exe. Is just a freestanding executable program, and as is ExifToolGUI. So these are freestanding executables that run. You do not do a full installation for those. So let's slide this back out of the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you real quick the difference between this image over here, RTK, and a non-RTK. So I'm going to open up ExifToolGUI, and we're going to, let's go to our video tutorial. So the first one is the RTK sample that I downloaded. I'm going to click on that, and I say I want to create the text file with the metadata. Alright, so there's one. Let me get that out of the way for 1 second. Now, let's go back up here. This is the images that I took. Right here. And then we're going to export out the text metadata for that. And let's open this one up. Now I'm going to put these side by side. Slide this other one over. Now again, the one on the left is the RTK. One on the one is just the regular Phantom 4 Pro. And so just, again, what we're doing is we're going to update these images in a batch process so that the data in them emulates the RTK with your updated post-processed GPS information. So we're just going to kind of run down real quick, and we're going to look at the differences. So right here at the very top, this is just file. That block is relating to the file name, date, what type of image it is, etc. Then we come down, you have the actual EXIF block, and we can kind of look at that. And here we're going to see, bear with me. Let's go down to the GPS, okay? So the GPS sections are going to be the same here, and we're already going to have just the normal data written into the GPS, and then we're going to go on down, and when we get to the XMP, this is the specific data block that relates to the DJI data, and so this is specific only to the DJI. So in this section, you're going to see that you come down and you have absolute altitude and relative altitude, and this is going to be in both. The 140 right there, that's going to be the ellipsoid. The absolute is the ellipsoid height, and then the relative is just above ground level. So that should be the differences there. Now, you will notice on this section on the left, on the RTK, there is a GPS latitude and longitude in this section which does not exist over here. And so we're going to add that in this batch process. We're going to add it into the XMP section. And then we also come down and then we have this section, which, and actually the RTK flag does exist. All right, so I come over and you'll notice over here it does have RTK flag, but it doesn't have your standard deviation for longitude, latitude, and height. So what the 16 means is that when the person that flew this, they just had a single solution. So in terms of comparing to like the M Plus and the Reach RS, 16 would be single. If the number 34 is there, it's I think comparable to a float, and then a 50 is what means you have a fixed solution. And so what you really should see is as your numbers go up here, like if you had an RTK unit and you have a 50, then your error, your standard deviation, which relates to the accuracy of your data, these numbers should drop. So you may have, if you had a 50 for a fixed solution, then you might see a 0.010 or 0.007 down to 7 centimeters of accuracy, or it could be higher than that, but certainly not at this level right here. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to add into our image on the right, for all the images in a batch process, we're going to add these extra tags that you see right there, because that is one of the things that Pix4D is going to be looking for. And I'll tell you, I'll just go ahead and mention it now. This is the STD, standard deviation. One of the things that I did notice is that Pix4D, if you use a CSV file for, say, like ground control points, it is not on what they consider it to be horizontal accuracy. So they're merging the longitude and latitude into one and calling it horizontal. What they were doing was taking an average of the accuracy of longitude and latitude and doing just an average, when in fact it should be a root mean square RMS value between the two. And so I've emailed with them, and they're actually going to be updating Pix4D so that it is now just going to take longitude and latitude individually in a CSV file for ground control points, and they'll probably do the same for images, because what they're doing right now, when it looks at the horizontal accuracy, it is only pulling this first number, your longitude. That's it. It is not even doing an average between the two. It's not looking at both. It's only pulling. And so I'm going to email them today regarding that. But I'm sure with this, they're making changes, positive changes in the way that the processing is done and looking at the EXIF and CSV files. That's going to be a big improvement. You're no longer going to have to put in, for say a CSV file, you will not have to input the omega, phi, and kappa. I mean, because who's going to get that? Where are you going to get it from? And after I emailed and went over and said, where are you going to get this information? They did a lot of back and forth and said, you know what, we're going to fix that. So that's a positive thing. Another thing I want to go ahead and mention right now is that if you use EZsurv, this is February, mid-February 2019. In about 4 to 6 weeks, EZsurv will be doing a release that is going to take care of this whole process as part of the PPK processing for your M Plus data. So you won't even have to do this. This is going to be done within EZsurv. This is not complicated. I like to cover every detail. If you watch my other videos, you know that. This may seem a lot more complicated and longer, but it's because I'm covering every detail, the how and why, so that you know it. But again, EZsurv, they're going to handle this. So if you're not using EZsurv, then this will still be beneficial for you down the road. So now that we know why we're doing this and the data that we're copying in, let's go ahead and close this out and let's get started. So I'm going to, I'm going to go ahead and delete that file. I don't need it. Now, I've already mentioned that you have to download and install the EXE, and I say install, you just need to put the EXE for ExifTool on your PC. And let's see, so I'm going to drag this over, and where I have it is on my C drive in ExifTool. I created a folder called ExifTool. When I go in there, here's the ExifTool.exe. It will have a parenthesis and something else in it. Rename it to be just ExifTool.exe. There's a reason they have that parenthesis there. I forgot what that is, but you just rename it to this. I'm going to have a copy of this config file, which I did not create this. I did not know how. I had the help of Stephen Marsh, guy in Australia, on the EXIF forum, and he's also active on the Adobe Bridge forum. And there was one other guy who I forgot. You know what? Hold on. I'm going to look his name up. Okay, it's a guy, his username is Stargeek. I just want to give credit where credit is due. So between him and Stephen and even Phil Harvey himself actually added some input on that, but those two guys were instrumental in making this happen. I could have never done it without their help. So there's this little config file. I'm going to show this to you real quick. It's actually very simple. And let's see here. You know what? I'm going to fix something because that is not supposed to be there. Absolute GPS. Give me 1 second. I'm actually thought I'd fix that earlier. So we'll do file save. Okay. So thought I'd already fixed that once, but anyway, so that you have the config file there that. And then also, I'll have this little text file, which this is nothing more than the command line that you will run. And give me 1 second. So what I did, local disk. All right, so I'm going to find where I did the updates because they are on either another drive on a backup, but this update file, I have one updated, so I'm going to find that and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the correct file. Well, I'll tell you what, file management sometimes is just, it's a struggle. If you got copies and copy here and a copy there. Anyway, so this right here, I'll have a copy of this up on a link to it with the other stuff. And this is just some little notes. One, make a backup copy of your folder before you process. Do not ever start tinkering with your, especially when you're doing batch updates, don't tinker with your original images. Make you a backup copy, and you can work with the backup or work with the original, but just have a backup. That's just good common sense. Second, make sure that config file is in the C:\exif directory, ExifTool directory that you see I have highlighted here. And then if you run into, you get error messages, I guarantee you when you are running this thing and it error, file not found, blah, whatever it may be, it's going to be because you're not referencing the correct CSV file, or you're not referencing the correct folder of where the images are. And so that is very important. So what I've done, I took right here, I just broke this down line by line. This -config, all that does is specify where your config file for doing this is at, and it's in the ExifTool directory. SCP, that's a separator, that's just saying this is comma delimited. This -CSV is specifying where the CSV file is at. If you have any spaces in your address here, then in the path, you've got to include quote marks before the drive letter and after the V there. So if you don't, you'll get an error message. Same thing, the -R means recursive. You're telling it what folder to look in for the images. Do not put a trailing slash after the last folder. So just have the folder with no trailing slash, and again, if you have spaces, include the quotation marks front and back. -F means fix any errors. You will always get these little errors that relate to the maker notes. I don't fully understand why the errors are there and what makes them, but if you use the -F, it will fix them so that there are no errors. I think it has to do with just like bytes of maybe even blank data that's there. Again, I'm not 100% sure. The -overwrite original, this will keep it from making duplicate files within the folder. So you use this because up here, the very first thing you did was make a backup folder before you even went to step 2. So you'll have this tag right here for overwrite original. Some of you guys may even learn more about ExifTool and can improve this process, and if you can, then by all means post back, and everybody can benefit. So all this will be together because this will be the command that we're going to run. So you will run a command prompt. If you're on Windows 10, I have pinned it to my start menu right here, but if you haven't, all you do is come down to here and type in CMD, and then you'll see command prompt. You're going to click on that. It will open up and go to your default user folder. So you're going to do CD for change directory, :/ExifTool, enter, and it doesn't matter at this point. It does not matter whether it's on your capitalization. And so now if I do dir for directory listing, list the files, you can now see here are the files. There's my config file, that's the EXifTool executable, and then there's that text file that has the command. So we're good there. And so now I know, let me see, video tutorials. So I know that this is the correct path. I know all that's good. What I'm going to do one more time before we do this, I'm going to open up, let's go down to video tutorials, Snowden, yep. So I'm going to go ahead and look at this one more time with you so you can see that it has not been updated yet. Now I'll double click on that, and if I come down, I'm going to see down here RTK flag 0. Anytime I find that, I know that this is the original file, has not been modified. Okay, so I'm going to close this out so that no program has these files open, and we're going back to here. We're now ready to copy this command, so I'm going to copy it, and then when you come, if this is the active window, meaning look, I can move it around, all you do is you come and you right mouse click, put your mouse right here and right mouse click, and it will paste the command in there. And now I'm going to hit enter, and it will go through the process, and see it says adjusted maker note. So that means that's where that -F had it fixed. It'll tell you all the images. You see them being updated in order. There's 360. I'll just let this record and fast forward this section for the final video, and so I'll be right back after this is done. Okay, so I forgot one critical piece of information, and that's the file layout. I'm going to have a link to this as well. This bottom one, this is an XLS template that I have here just to show what we need. This is what was exported out of Pix4D. I'm sorry, out of EZsurv. So we need to go ahead and take this thing and get it in the correct order for the images. And so I'm going to take this picture. This is going to be my first row, and we remember we have to have the full path. Matter of fact, let me fix that. Is that right? There we go. So we have to have the full path. So you see here, this is my sample. The only thing we have here is the image name. So we're going to, actually no, we're going to use concatenate. So for Excel, one of the best formulas you'll ever learn is concatenate. And so what I do is I'm going to say equals concatenate, open parenthesis. And what I want to concatenate? Well, I'm going to do a text line, which is the path right here. and then I'm hit a print comma, and I want to concatenate it with, oh, you know what? Need to do a backslash. Now close print quotation mark, comma, and then this data in that particular cell and close parenthesis. Now it will put all that together. And so let's take a look. See there? Now we have the full path, and that is required when we're using this update. So now that I have this done, I can click on this cell. I'm going to grab this little dot right here in the bottom right hand corner. I'm going to drag it all the way down to 360. There we go. And it's going to automatically paste in the formula, and notice that it updates every cell for each row. So it's a fast and easy way to do that. Now, if we were to delete this column, so I'm going to hit, I'm going to delete it. Now look what happens. You get an error message because this formula was based on that column. So I'm going to undo. Now that you have this concatenate done, what you want to do is you're going to highlight the row, the column. I'm going to right mouse click and choose copy. I'm going to right mouse click again. I'm going to choose paste special, come under values. I'm going to pick that first one right there. Now it's actually just data, and it's no longer a formula. So I can get rid of this one. Okay, so I now have my source file. The RTK flag, that is one we just have to insert manually because it was not exported, so we're just hard coding it, and we know we want it to be 50. So here again, I can take this and just copy all the way down. You know what I can do is do all one row, and then, oops, it's done. Instead of doing row by row, I just enter the data and then copy and paste all the way down, and it will actually fix it. So, all right, our longitude. So our standard deviation longitude is right here. So I'm going to Control X. I'm going to click on the O and Control V. Now I want standard deviation latitude. Control X. Come over here, Control V. Now we want standard height, standard deviation for the height, so Control X. Come over here, click on the Q, Control V. Okay, now we need our first, we need the longitude value, so we're going to come here, do Control, and we need this twice. I'm not going to do Control, well, I can do Control X. I'm going to do Control X. I'm going to come right here, Control V. And we want our latitude. Yeah, latitude was second. Okay. Control X. Control V. And we want our altitude will obviously be next. So, which is the ellipsoid height. Control X. V. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of some of these columns. There we go. So we can kind of, and we don't even need these three. We're going to get rid of those two. Delete. All right. And mean sea level. I don't need that. Delete. All right. Now we need, look down here, we need longitude, latitude, and altitude again. So we're just going to take these, and this time I'm going to do Control C, Control V to paste them. And we have to do two last things. So for the altitude, hit the escape key, now to get rid of your little dotted line. So for this one, I'm going to insert a row. I'm going to click on I. I'm going to choose Insert. And we need to concatenate because we want a plus sign in with the first altitude, showing its positive altitude. So I'm going to do equals concatenate. Open parenthesis. I want a plus sign, so I do quotation mark, plus sign, close quote, and then I'm going to do comma. There's no space. If I don't put a space in here, then it'll just put it all together with no spaces. That's what we want, and we want this cell. And then I'm going to do close parenthesis, hit enter. Now I have the plus, which again looks like it does down here. So we're going to do like we did before. We're going to grab the little dot, pull it all the way down to 360, let go. It's going to fill it in. And same thing we have to do, we have to copy this, so Control C, and then I'm going to right mouse click and choose Paste Special and come down to Paste Values, and I'm going to do that right there. Now if I click in a cell, I can see it's no longer a formula, and then we're going to delete that cell, don't need it. And for this one, if you look down here, the altitude has a space and M after it, and so we need to replicate that. So we're going to do equals concatenate open parenthesis this cell, so I click in that, comma. Now what kind of text do we want to add? I'm going to do a quotation mark, I want a space, lowercase m, close double quote, and then close parenthesis. So now we have it formatted just like you do down here. So once again, I'm going to grab the dot, pull it all the way down. And won't it be nice when EZsurv is doing this for us? Yes, it will. Alright, so now I'm going to Control C to copy. I clicked on the L. Now I'm going to right mouse click, choose Paste Special, Paste Values. And again, I no longer have a formula, so I can delete that column. Last thing I'm going to do is just come in here and do come to the bottom. I'm going to Control C and get it right there so that my column names are what they should be. And that's it. So now I can do, and here's what I would recommend. Save this once as an XLS file, then save it again as a CSV file. Once you save it as a CSV file, if you, for whatever reason, you made a boo-boo in your source file full path, when you bring it back in, if you just open it straight up, it will not display the plus sign. This one here, now you can, I don't know if you can change that to just text, if at that point. But the problem I'm having is when you open it back up, maybe to fix an error, the plus sign isn't there. Then if you go to save it, it will then remove the plus sign. Now, if you were just correcting a path, you could open the CSV in a notepad editor like Notepad++, do a find and replace, and replace your values for that path, and then it would retain the plus and the trailing M down here. So anyway, I'm going to do File, Save As. We're going to save this in, let's see, Tutorial. I'm going to browse back up. There it is, and then we're going to go back to the P4P, and we're going to first save it as an Excel workbook. So let's do video PPK tutorial 1, enter. Now I'm going to save it as a CSV file, save as, there, and we're going to save it as a CSV file. Now I will tell you this, in the video I'm using this file name as what's in the video, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick this name for right now. But if you're doing multiple jobs, you're always just going to give it the job name, and then that field has to be updated in the command line. So I'm going to pick this and save it because that's what we did in the video. But there you go. Want to replace it? Yes. Keep using the format? Yes. Now we can close it. Don't save. And this one right here I've already fixed. I'm going to save that and close it. Alright, back to the processing. Alright, so we are done with the processing, it processed 359 images, which the last one's 360, but remember there is no 001. So to exit this, we can just type in the word exit, and that will close that out. And let's minimize that. Now, again, this is the original, so I'm going to delete this, and now we're going to go back and create a new text file with the new updated EXIF data. And let's see, P4P. Let's go look at this one. Export text file. Scroll on down. One thing I didn't point out earlier, so the camera name FC6310, the one that was from the RTK camera actually had an R on the end of it, so that model was a little bit different. But all the rest of the stuff is all going to be the same camera. Let's scroll on down. Now notice up here this is the EXIF block up here that we're in. When you look at your latitude and longitude, you'll notice that the decimal, it goes out 6 decimal places. When you come down to the XMP block, it's going out many more on the decimal places. One thing that I do believe is occurring right now is that Pix4D is actually pulling the GPS latitude and longitude from up here in this section right there, instead of pulling it from the XMP block. So that's going to be something I ask about. I'm just almost 100% positive that that's what's being done. This is going to be much more precise. Again, how much is it going to affect the overall map? Probably very little. But you just, again, if you can make it right so that there's nothing that's not right, if that makes sense. And you'll see here our RTK flags. This is our standard deviation. This has been added in, and so this will be for every single image. So these images are now ready to be imported into Pix4D. They have all of the accuracy data added in. So in terms of Pix4D, and I'm 99.9% on DroneDeploy, they're going to handle these images as if they had been taken on the DJI Phantom 4 Pro RTK. And so now you've got good accurate data. Now on Pix4D, you have to make changes to the way that the accuracy is processed. So on the accuracy pipeline is what that's considered. So I'm going to be running some tests. I want to go and run a set of images where they weren't updated, just standard processing. I want to find out, well, how long does that take for this set right here? And then the data's updated, but yet we still don't change the accuracy pipeline setting. How long does that take? And then looking at it where you've got updated PPK data and you change the pipeline setting in Pix4D. Now, what are we looking at on processing time? And then after that, so now that I've got all this stuff kind of resolved and I know this is working, the next step after just checking the time, the processing time, is it is going to be time to go out and do some tests and have the ground control points and checkpoints out in the field and process this with no ground control points, with ground control points, with checkpoint, and we're going to start looking at what is the true accuracy. I don't care what the software tells you in terms of accuracy. What matters is when you have a completed map and you go down and you click on a point and the map tells you where you are, and let's say you've got your ground control point down there, a marker, and you know where it's at. What is the difference between what Pix4D is telling you and what you know that point to be? There's your accuracy. I don't care what software tells you. And so that'll be the next kind of series of tests that we're going to look at. And I'll do a video, and it may be that we do all this stuff and you find out that accuracy is really not that much better, or in fact it could be tons better. So now that this process is working smoothly, I mean, I just completed this workflow this past weekend, and so now it is time to put it to the test. I hope it's been helpful. If you like this, if you like my other videos, please subscribe, and by all means, please hit that thumbs up down there. That helps a lot to let people know that you liked the video and it was helpful. And if you have suggestions or want to see other videos, then put it in the comments, and if I'm able, I will do it. Thank you guys. Have a blessed day. Thanks for watching.